Welcome to the Addicted to Recovery podcast, where we will delve into the transformative journey of overcoming addiction and embracing a life of recovery. In this podcast, we share stories of hope, resilience, and triumph, exploring the challenges, victories, and lessons learned along the way. The Addicted to Recovery podcast is a platform for sharing stories of resilience, hope, and transformation in the face of addiction. Through candid conversations and heartfelt reflections, we aim to inspire, educate, and empower listeners on their own journey of recovery. Join us as we explore the path from darkness to light, from addiction to freedom, and from despair to hope. This is Addicted to Recovery. Today, I want to share something personal, something that shaped who I am and why I care so much about spaces like this. It's about my brother, his struggle with addiction, and the grief that is following his death from an overdose. It's not easy to talk about, but I know the silence around this stuff only makes it harder for people like us, people who've loved someone through addiction. So this is me, speaking from the heart, in the hope it helps someone else feel a little less alone. As I've mentioned, I'll be talking about death from overdose, and if you feel this may trigger anything, then have a hard think about whether you wish to continue. I had previously spoken in a couple of monologues about myself, my brother, and my family. I did not for 1 minute think I'd be discussing my brother's death so quick. I've already said to my family this is a shock, but not a shock. Not that we wanted him to die. We as a family wanted him very much to get well. Ironically, my brother left this world on the same date he came into this world, and that is something I am personally struggling with. I am not one for remembering dates that people I have known and loved have left this earth, but I shall always remember the 9th of June. This will be a date that I will remember forever. I lost my brother to a drug overdose. It's still surreal saying those words out loud. Sometimes it feels like I'm telling someone else's story, but it's mine, it's ours. It's the story of a family who loved someone deeply and watched them slip further away into addiction, even while we were holding on for dear life. As part of my role, I'm used to talking to others about grief and struggles, but now it's my turn. My brother wasn't just his addiction. He was full of life, had a big heart, a sharp sense of humour, and when he loved you fiercely. But drugs took hold of him, and slowly, piece by piece, they changed him. They changed us too. We tried everything: talks, boundaries, interventions, silence. And as I've previously spoken about, some days I had hope, others I felt helpless. And I have been honest, there were times I was angry at him, times I distanced myself, times I gave up, and I carry that with me. But I also carry the love, the memories, the small moments that remind me he was more than his struggle. When I got the phone call he died, it shattered something in me. After everything we had went through with my brother's addiction and behaviours, I did not think it would affect me as it did. But it also made something clearer. We need to talk about this more. About how addiction impacts families, about how stigma impacts both the person and the families, about the grief we carry, even before death happens, about how messy love can get when you're fighting something as powerful as addiction. Gabor Mate mentions in his book, The Realms of Hungry Ghosts, not every story has a happy ending, but the discoveries of science, the teachings of the heart, and the revelations of soul all assure us that no human being is ever beyond redemption. The possibility of renewal exists so long as life exists. How to support that possibility in others and ourselves is the ultimate question. I have lost cousins to addiction, and yes, I felt sad, but this is closer and very difficult. I feel anger, guilt, relief, and love all mixed together. And I don't think everyone will understand this unless you've battled with someone who was going through such a hideous disease. Losing someone to overdose is a complicated grief. There's sadness, yes. As I've said, there's also guilt, anger, confusion, even relief. and then guilt about feeling relief. You wonder what more you could have done. You replay conversations, you think about the last time you saw them and whether you've missed something. People don't always understand. They might say things like, well, they chose that life, or at least the struggle's over. But that's not how it feels when it's your brother. That's not how it feels when you've lived every high and low with them. There is the resentment of why it was him and not others. There is the anger of the drug dealer who sold the drugs. The anger at my brother for being so irresponsible. The guilt around the thought of, did I do enough? And the sadness of seeing how sad others are and no longer having my brother around, even though I disliked his behaviour and illness. Personally, I'm trying not to let those things eat away at me, and I have let those thoughts go if I'm to be able to help others or myself. I'm sharing this because maybe you've lost someone too. Maybe you're still fighting for them. Maybe you're just exhausted. Wherever you are, you're not alone. Our stories deserve to be heard, because behind every overdose is a name, a face, a family, a life that mattered. I've always referred to my brother as my brother in these podcasts. 1, to protect him, and 2, to combat stigma. Now I don't have to protect him. His name was David. David did not die because he didn't care. David died because addiction is an illness that isolates people, and it isolates families too. I'm telling this story not just for David, but for all of us who have sat with this kind of pain in silence. Please don't talk enough. People don't talk enough about families affected by addiction, about how you can love someone and still feel powerless. Community has to understand people like David are human beings, and yes, their behaviours can be horrible, but addiction does that to you. So if we're to tackle stigma, then everyone has to take a look at themselves and be honest. Do I use stigmatising language or behaviour in my day-to-day life? What I take away from this is that addiction is something beyond horrible. Personal grief is so difficult. I truly love my brother, but disliked him in equal measure because of which side of the road he was on. I will also take away from this a professional approach where I can understand when someone is going through if this happens to them. Not that I wanted to learn this lesson. David's death taught me that we need to speak up, to say their names, to share our grief without apology, to let other people know if you're fighting for someone you love or if you've lost someone, you're not alone. He was more than how he died. He was loved, and he still is. And as I've asked and said in my previous podcasts, if I had the whole world's attention for a few minutes, I would say, kindness is a language which the deaf can hear and the blind can see. And thanks for listening. This is for my brother David. I'm so sorry I could not save you. If any of what I shared connected with you, if you've lost someone, or if you're still fighting alongside them, please know you're not alone. These stories matter, and so do the people behind them. Talking about it doesn't fix everything, but it's a start. And if you feel ready to share your own story, or even just your thoughts, we're here for that too. That's what this space is about: honesty, connection, and healing, one voice at a time. Thanks.